Hello friends, welcome to Ansarkari, and in this session again we are going to pick up very important themes and ideas which will help you to prepare yourself effectively for the coming examination and also to raise your level in terms of understanding and also in terms of going with revisions and also side by side ability to solve both the prelims and the mains questions. First statement is about shingles vaccine and the heart. So one point which is important here is that a vaccine which may be for one purpose, it will have more than one protection areas. For example, shingle vaccines can do more than viral protection. For example, cardiovascular conditions, and it is also reducing the odds of dementia, which is a debilitating neurodegenerative disorder, and it is not having any effective treatments also. So, study done by a South Korean university and researchers. It is also found that the impacts are very pronounced. So there are two approved shingle vaccines, both are which are available in India for a price of 6,000 to rupees 70,000 per dose, and clinical trials have been done on people, so thereby bringing more results. My question to you, apart from shingles vaccine, which other vaccines do you think are there, which are going to bring such kind of positive side effects? Do look for two vaccines at least and see if they are indigenous Indian vaccines and how it has contributed to Indian healthcare and the social sector. Please do look very carefully at the map, which is there of the Middle East, showcasing Yemen, Oman, UAE, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and so on. So the US president is meeting the new Syrian leader, and he was a formerly designated Al Qaeda terrorist, and that is how Syria would be lifted with a decade-old sanctions. So, what is the US policy, first of all, on Middle East? And side by side, we have to understand what is India's policy on Middle East. What are India's takes on Middle East? You have to think of 4 points. First, US is going to remove sanctions and thereby helping to come over the economic losses by Syria. It has also been helpful in uniting Syria and integrating its sectarian militias with the armed forces of the state. There is a positive internal political development in Syria. Whole region is conflict ridden, so US would like to end those conflicts. I hear end means to slow down, but there is no proactive any American commitment. It believes that we have to think of our own interests. Very important here is White House statement shows that Abraham Accords and the recognition of Israel is a paramount point. Remove or deport foreign and Palestinian terrorists. And US also wants that, ISIS must not rise again. Focus is on trade also. And as I just said, through Middle East, including Qatar and Doha, which maintains a more independent foreign policy stand, it is also going in that direction. But US wants Israel's interest to be protected, and it wants the other axis represented by Tehran and its proxies must go down. Question here for us is, what is India's policy on Middle East? What are India's interests in the Middle East? Look for 4 points and try to correlate, and we will discuss that. Coming to other point, we must only know for our examination purposes what is the birthright citizenship. Anyone born in US is considered as a citizen at birth, which is derived from citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment Act that was added to the US Constitution in 1868. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the US and of the states wherein they reside. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952 also defines citizens and includes similar language. There is an exception for people born in the US to a foreign diplomatic officer with diplomatic immunity, as such officials are not subject to the jurisdiction of the US. That's all what we have to see. So there is a point where the Donald Trump government is trying that it must not be like that, and the US born individuals who do not have at least one parent who is an American citizen or a lawful permanent resident, they must not be considered as the US citizen. It is a way to crack down on illegal migration. Very important, a very important issue, a very from the anthropological and sociological and even from general studies perspective is the sacred Jharkhand hill of which is there, and it is at the center of friction between the Jains and Santals. Jharkhand High Court on May 3 directed the state government to enforce pre-existing ban on consumption and sale of meat, alcohol, and other intoxicants on a hill considered to be sacred by both Santal and Adivasi. Marangburu by Santals and Parasnath by Jains. This is very important. Giridi. If you travel to Dhanbad through train, then you will find Gomoh. Gomoh is a very important station from where Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose was supposed to, he left India through this route, and that is why it is named after Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. A sacred hill because Jain believe that 20 of the 24 Jain Tirthankars attained Nirvana on Parasnath hill. Parasnath is derived from the term Parshavnath, 23rd Tirthankar, and today there are more than 40 Jain temples and dhams on the hill. The Jain, being followers of one of the oldest religions, they have held the hill sacred since the time of Tirthankars. That is how it is. Maranguru is the supreme animist deity of the Santal tradition. The Jog Jahar Than sacred grove on the hill is the most sacred Santal religious site. And the Dishom Manji Than is symbolic seat of the Dishom Manji, traditional Santal leader, or you can say, like the way we say, the sacred leadership. So the Lower Bur Baisia Tribal Council, which resolved dispute that cannot be handled at the village level, convinced at the Boda Dhara in Soharia village on the eastern part of the sacred mountain. And it is with the resolution of this council that the historical Santal Hul was launched in 1855, which was led by Sidhu and Khan. The rebellion targeted oppressive Dikus, that is outsiders, Zamindas, Mahajan, and British officers. Now the conflict is that already it is written here. The Jain believe that an ancient king donated the Parasnath hill to community, but the revenue department official P.C. Roy Chaudhary in 1957 wrote that oldest Jain temple appears to be dated only from 1765. It was in 1911 that a conflict started between Jains and Adivasis on over the hill, officially entered in state records. Parasnath is the Marangburu, or the hill deity of Santals. Each day they assemble during the full moon of Baisakh and celebrate religious hunt for 3 days, after which a great tribal session takes place. The entry of the custom in record of rites, which was prepared in 1911, was followed by institution of suit by Swetambar Jains, who declared that no such custom exists. So the religious hunt that we are talking about is a 3-day long Sandra festival, very important for the prelims, during which all male members of the Santal community head into forest to hunt. It's a rebirth of Santal men, either die or hunt to survive. Now for Jains who follow a rigorous spiritually motivated vegetarian diet, Sandra has a long cause of concentration, but initially attempts to ban hunting on the hill were unsuccessful. Aforementioned suit was dismissed by the district court upon appeal rejected by the Patna High Court in 1917. The Privy Council, the highest court of appeal in British time, we have studied how Cornwallis did that. He eventually held that Santals have customary right, they have the, what we can say, they have the customary right to hunt the hill. So after independence, the continuing pressure from the Dikus and the concerns regarding India's depleting forests, and gradually eroded Adivasi rights over the hill in post-independent times. So it's a very beautifully written here. In 1972, the year in which Indira Gandhi passed Wildlife Protection Act, Adivasi villages against around Marangburu lost the status under the 5th schedule of the Constitution. Scheduled tribe enjoys certain special land rights. We have discussed that, included in the 5th schedule, including right to utilize forests also. So the rituals at Jog Jahar Than in Marangviru again started. Purpose of politically empowering Adivasis. 2023 memorandum by 2023 Adivasi villages out of the respect to the Jain community. Memo also banned serving eggs and meat in Anganwadi centers and primary schools in the area. Naman Priyesh Lakra, Deputy Commissioner of Giridi District, told the Indian Express, the recent High Court order pertained to the enforcement of this directive. So DC Lakra said, following the High Court order, the number of home guards in the area have been increased to prevent illegal activities by villagers or outsiders. Nonetheless, this week Santhal Undi celebrated Central Festival in the jungles of Marangburu. Marangburu's Sanvata Susar Baisi, a local Santhal association, has also filed a counter petition asserting Santhal's traditional right over the hills. अब ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट और मीनिंगफुल ना ये एक इशू है। ये मैं जैसे कहा एंथ्रोपोलॉजी का है, पॉलिटिकल साइंस का है, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का है, हिस्ट्री का है। इसीलिए मैंने आपको वर्ड टू वर्ड बाय वर्ड करके दिखाया है। आपको मतलब जो है अपने कीवर्ड्स में इसको रीराइट कीजिए अबाउट इन 100 वर्ड्स। सो वी हैव ऑलरेडी डिस्कस्ड नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स कैसे पाकिस्तानी शेलिंग लेफ्ट अराउंड 20 सिविलियंस डेड एंड सेवरल होम्स फ्लैटेंड। बट लेकिन आप ये जो सीक्वेंस है नॉर्थ टू साउथ का, कुपवारा, उरी, पुंछ, राजौरी, अखनूर, जम्मू, ये आपको याद होना चाहिए। दैट इज द ओनली कीवर्ड है। आपको नॉर्थ टू साउथ जो है बॉर्डर के साथ दिखाया गया है, ये एलओसी के साथ जो गांव है और जो जगह है वो हमें दिखाया हुआ हमें होना चाहिए। पुंछ, उरी, कुपवारा, राजौरी, अखनूर एंड जम्मू। Pulse stocks plunged to 42% below buffer. So sharp fall in the procurement over the last couple of years due to prices ruling over MSP. The government stock of pulses have plunged to significantly below the buffer. Overall stocks are 42% below the buffer stocks. Stocks of chana, which has about 50% share in the country's pulse output, are just at 14% buffer. That is very serious situation. The government is considering a proposal to buy the variety at market price from farmers using the price stabilizer. मैं आपसे क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहता हूँ कि ऐसा क्या है, ऐसे क्या इश्यूज हैं दो जिसके द्वारा गवर्नमेंट जो है अपने मिनिमम जो स्टॉक उन्होंने चाहा और माना उसको भी उतना नहीं कर पाए। व्हाट आर द वेज अहेड इट फॉर जस्ट वी हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट। सिमिलरली सेकंड पॉइंट, इसी का दूसरा हाथ, शुगर प्रोडक्शन सीन एट अ 5 year लो दिस सीजन। तो डिक्लाइन इन आउटपुट इज एट्रीब्यूटेड टू द लोअर रिकवरी बिकॉज ऑफ इनएडिक्वेट मानसून इन 2023। आप सोचिए 2 साल पहले का असर अब आ रहा है। सीजन इज प्रोडक्टेड टू कंक्लूड विद शुगर प्रोडक्शन इन द रेंज ऑफ 26.1 to 26.2 मिलियन टन। तो यही है बात, क्यों ऐसा हो पाया, प्रोडक्शन कम क्यों हुई। मानसून से रेनफॉल है कि रेड रॉट डिजीज है कि आपके इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इश्यूज हैं, लॉजिस्टिक इश्यूज हैं, क्या है। तो आपको एक पर्सपेक्टिव में शॉर्ट नोट लिखना होगा जिसके अंदर आप इंडियन शुगर एंड बायो एनर्जी मैन्युफैक्चरर एसोसिएशन का रूल भी लेके आइए कि बायोफ्यूल की तरफ जब हम गन्ने को डाइवर्ट करते हैं क्या उसका भी इम्पैक्ट है। आप अलग अलग एस्पेक्ट्स को लिखने की कोशिश की। अगर हम बात करें FTAs ओनली बी एज ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव एज अ डोमेस्टिक सिस्टम बैकिंग दम, यही क्वेश्चन मैं आपको बोलता हूँ कमेंट। तो क्वेश्चन वही है, इंडिया यूके जो फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट है, एग्रीकल्चर एंड इकोनॉमिक्स एट इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च एंड फॉर्मर एडवाइजर इंडियन एम्बेसी ब्रसल्स अमिता सरोही जी ने लिखा कि कैसे कैसे इंडिया यूके का जो फ्री ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट है जो हमने साइन किया, क्या उससे वाकई ग्लोबल टाइज को हमारे बूस्ट कर पाएंगे हम। ग्रीन रेवोल्यूशन से हमारा फूड डेफिसिट तो हुआ, लेकिन क्या वाकई हम एक्सपोर्टर भी हो पाएंगे उसी दिशा में। डोमेस्टिक डिमांड की आउटपुट क्या हम सस्टेनेबल तरीके से पूरी कर पा रहे हैं। इंडिया जो है निगोशिएट करके फॉरेन ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट्स को वो बचा तो लेगा, लेकिन जो एग्रीकल्चर और लाइफ स्टॉक है, फार्मर्स को जो बेनिफिट होना चाहिए क्या वाकई होगा। हाई वैल्यू मार्केट्स लाइक EU फूड सेफ्टी रेगुलेशंस आर इवॉल्विंग वेरी रैपिडली, विल इंडिया विल बी एबल टू हैंडल इट। सो द ट्रेड विदाउट ट्रेसेबिलिटी that is becoming untenable. Very important key phrase, trade without traceability is untenable. Why? Comment. Because Indian agriculture value chain future ready होना पड़ेगा, better equipped होना पड़ेगा, otherwise we will not be able to serve those markets. So that is why coherence across ministries, regulatory bodies role, food safety, pesticide regulation, drug residue standards, central insecticides board and registration committee, central drug standard control organization. These are the very important instances where we have to understand that how India will have to move forward. Ethylene oxide contamination, you want ripening very fast, so you just put up certain kind of chemicals. Contamination, the absence of domestic regulation, best practice protocols are there or not. Coherency must be there, then only agriculture produce export development authority will be able to work along with marine products export development authority. Both are important. Federation of Indian Exports Origin, Indian Exports Organization will also be working. So food safety norms are very important. Without that, you won't be able to send to nations like Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and so forth. Investment in hard infrastructure, cold chains, grading, processing, logistics. It must be there. And technically equipping coordination mechanism, agriculture, livestock, what I can say, integrated pest management, the word that I can use. And the complex market issues, that must be seen. Capacity building across export value chain. Awareness programs to match the fast evolving global standards. So this is the main answer in one sense, I would say. And we must shift from event-based trade promotion to year-round market-specific engagement. Latin American nations, Colombia, Ecuador, Guatemala have commodity-specific export bodies. Interact consistently with buyers and regulators. Kenya's Flower Council is another example. India should build a value chain-based platforms. And we must have comparative advantage. India is an amazing country. So export promotion bodies must think innovatively. Because in today's world, market access isn't just about just one at the table. It's earned through credibility, coordination, and compliance. Negligible inflows are there. So that is why, do you really think the target of 100 billion we will be able to achieve? Because the US tech giant Apple being asked by US President Donald Trump to desist from ramping up iPhone production in India brings the spotlight to the prospects of FDI. तो गवर्नमेंट का एस्पिरेशनल जो एक ऑब्जेक्टिव है 100 बिलियन एफडीआई आ जाए इन द एनुअल कैलेंडर, वो कैसे हो पाएगा आप बताइए. एंड आर वी ओनली डिपेंडेंट अपॉन सच काइंड ऑफ सिनेरियोस, यूएस सेंट्रिक, साइनोसेंट्रिक, ट्रम्प फैक्टर. तो $100 बिलियन के लिए हमें क्या करना चाहिए, $100 बिलियन के लिए हमें कौन से स्टेप्स उठाने चाहिए, ये आपको सोचना होगा. इंडिया इज अ लीडिंग डेस्टिनेशन फॉर एफडीआई, बट हम जो रिपैट्रिएशंस हैं और डिसइन्वेस्टमेंट्स हैं ये कैसे कम करें है? और हम जो फॉरेन इंटरेस्ट है उसको हम और कैसे बढ़ाएं. अट्रैक्टिंग जो चाइना +1 इन्वेस्टमेंट इनफ्लो आ रहा है कि चाइना के अलावा भी सबको एक और जगह चाहिए जहां वो अपने आप को काबिल तरीके से लगा सकें. हाउ डू यू थिंक इंडिया विल बी एबल टू डू सो? ब्रिंग 4 पॉइंट्स फॉर दिस. सुप्रीम कोर्ट सेट असाइड रेट्रो ग्रीन नॉट, कॉल्स एनवायरनमेंट की टू डेवलपमेंट. सो ग्रीन क्लियरेंसेस की बात बिल्कुल सही है. 2017 का नोटिफिकेशन को इलीगल बता दिया एंड 2021 के मेमोरेंडम को भी हटा दिया. एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो आप कह सकते हैं, आफ्टर दे स्टार्टेड. सो द पॉइंट इज दैट environment ministry must be more proactive, must have clear cut strategy, must have an open window, must have all the rules and compliance working upon it. Standard operating procedure ठीक से होना चाहिए. So this is not being done. EIA rule must be followed very, very religiously, and violation must be taken up on a serious note. Supreme Court pointed out that under Article 20 of Constitution, the right to live in a pollution-free environment is guaranteed. 1986 Act has been enacted to give effect to this fundamental right. In 1977, fundamental duties of all citizens were incorporated in the Constitution, which enjoined every citizen of India to protect and improve the environment as provided in the Clause G of Article 51A. Therefore, Center has duty to protect and improve natural environment. कितना अच्छे से समझाया है. Can there be development at the cost of environment? Comment. आप इस पे कमेंट कीजिए. कैसे करें हम? So there had been a clutch of petitions, including the one by the Mumbai-based NGO, Vanashakti, challenging the notification. The ruling also referred to the current pollution scene in the country. So today we can say that an idea had been put up, force had been put up by the environment, by the Supreme Court with respect to environment clearance for projects as post facto, that means after they started. सो मुझे लेकिन आप ये बताइए कि इसके आगे अब कैसे चलेगा. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने तो बोल दिया, कोर्स करेक्शन कैसे होगा ये आपको सोचना होगा. शिलोंग रोड टू जॉइन म्यांमार प्रोजेक्ट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट अगेन प्रीलिम्स के लिए, और व्हाट आई शुड से फॉर द न्यूज़पेपर पर्पस, फॉर द geography purpose, it is very, very important. Kalithwa and Zorinpui, very important. From Kolkata to Sitwe, Khaladan multimodal transport project. There is a proposed high speed corridor from Shillong to Aizawl via Silchar, and connecting road will there between Aizawl and Shillong, that is through Silchar. So very important. And then on the top of it, from Myanmar also, Myanmar from Sitwe to Palitwe to Kalitwe to Zorinpui, and then very important, Langtalai. So this is what you have to see, that how BIMSTEC summit, how a Kaladan multimodal transport project, how the role of National Highways and Infrastructure Development Corporation, role of Ministry of Road Transport and Highways, and as it is given here, 166.8 kilometer 4-lane highway from Mauling near Shillong to Panchgram near Silchar. First high-speed corridor project in Silchar. Everything is being taken care of, from sensors, from rain gauge, from radar system, everything. So rock mechanics has been modeled in, so that any kind of land instability, any kind of landslide, any kind of excessive rainfall, everything is basically taken care of. Slope stabilization to predict the landslide movement, and very important, lidar, light detection and ranging scanning, has been used for topographical surveys. LIDAR already been asked in the prelims examination. Piezometer, rain gauge, settlement gauge, inclinometer, geophones, everything is used. Geophone are used for vibration monitoring in seismic and geotechnical projects. Inclinometers are used in hill slope monitoring to detect and measure ground deformation, indicating potential slope instability or landslide movement. Rain gauge helps in measuring rainfall. Settlement gauges are used to monitor vertical movements of settlement with hill slopes, and piezometer for monitoring pore water pressure in the hills. So Shillong Silchar project, very very important. HAM, hybrid annuity mode, one of the forms of private partnership. 19 major bridges, 153 minor bridges, 326 culverts, 22 underpasses, 26 overpasses, and 8 limited subway, 34 viaducts. This is very very important, very important, very crucial for the prelims and the mains examination. Do have a look very carefully on this map. Going further, Pakistan has started to rebuild destroyed terror infrastructure. That is not just a warning, that is what our understanding is, and that is what we are asking the whole world to take note, and IMF also. And we have been sending, our delegations to across the world to send across our message that terror is a very, very, it's a very sick mindset, and it's a bane for the whole society. Will boost fight against terrorism. That is also new intelligence sharing center set up by Honorable Home Minister. Operation Sindoor, a symbol of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's political will. Intelligence agencies, accurate information and unmatched strike capability. So the new, MAC network, all intelligence, security, and law enforcement and institute agencies will be connecting together. That is how new multi-agency center for intelligence sharing, anti-molest operations near Telangana and Chhattisgarh border, excellent coordination, and this is going to make sure that organized crimes terror ecosystem, they will be defeated. ISRO to launch Earth observation satellite on Sunday, and we already know that PSLV EOS-09, it faltered actually, and it was a rare failure on the parts of ISRO. It was only the third time that the satellite mission failed. We will discuss about it. MP police influence probe shielded their own Supreme Court on custodial torture and death case. Now, this is a case of not judicial activism. This is the case of compassionate and also the dutiful role played by the Supreme Court, where it talks about saving every individual's life and everyone is equal before the law. So, I ask you, which are the articles do you think are reflected from the Constitution by this role of the Supreme Court? If you build, they will come. India has programs to attract scientists affected by fund crunch in the US. So, what steps India must take? India must take such steps that where the great scientists and research mind, they must come up, and India will be a zone of high quality science. Scientists needs right environment first of all, research institutions second, and India has got both environment and the money for the same. And if you say that how India had created in the past also Nobel laureates and the world class scientists, now if you talk about present times, then Nobel, Lesker, Brain, and breakthrough prizes, they can also be there. So it is very important. The first thing is that India must do is to create, already an ecosystem had been created to continue, to continue. India has got opportunity to take ownership of these studies, and in context of the US, what had been happening, India must take ownership and also bridge funding to the institutions to complete the ongoing research. And then current Indian government's Vaibhav and Vajra fellowships programs to attract diaspora and foreign scientists to collaborate research with Indian institutions and build stronger international research networks. The first batch of Vaibhav follows was selected in 2024, 75 diaspora scientists, 3 years, 880 crores. Now the time is to expand the scope of the program beyond the short-term visits. So Vaibhav और वज्रा ये पीटी के लिए बहुत important है. So additional funding must be there by philanthropic foundations and also by the role by the government. So Indian philanthropic report says that private spending on the social uh, uh, sector reached 1,31,000 crore in 2024, is expected to accelerate to 10 to 12% over the next 5 years. So this is all for the day. We'll get back soon with more ideas, and please do make your own notes, discuss with me, be consistent and punctual, and we will be connected to get success through Ansarkari. Thank you very much.